At the crux of all these disruptions is, of course, crude oil. Brent crude prices surged to a fresh 4-year high on Thursday as fears grew that the US-Iran war could escalate and disrupt oil supplies from West Asia. Brent futures jumped over 3.6% to $122 a barrel after briefly hitting an intraday peak of $126.41, the highest level since 2022. However, prices eased on Friday morning, pulling back sharply to around $113 a barrel. US benchmark West Texas Intermediate or WTI crude followed suit, raising to about $108.34 per barrel, its highest level in weeks after already posting a sharp 7% gain in the previous season. Now, at the heart of this surge is a growing fear that the conflict with Iran could choke off oil flows from one of the world's most critical energy production regions. Any prolonged disruption in supply could tighten global markets significantly, pushing fuel prices higher and adding to inflationary pressures worldwide. For economies already grappling with high costs, this raises the specter of slower growth or even a potential downturn. Adding to the uncertainty, US President Donald Trump is expected to receive a briefing on possible military strikes targeting Iran, according to reports. And as oil prices surge, the focus is also shifting on how Washington plans to manage the fallout. US President Donald Trump has held discussions with oil industry executives on ways to ease the impact of a potential months-long blockade of Iran's ports. According to a White House official, the talks centered on steps to stabilize global oil markets while also exploring how such blockade could be sustained if required without sharply hitting American consumers.
Donald Trump discussed ways to reduce the impact of a possible months-long U.S. blockade of Iran's ports with oil industry executives. That's according to a White House official on Wednesday. The official said the talks focused on steps the administration has taken to stabilize global oil markets and options to sustain the blockade for months if needed, while limiting effects on American consumers. Tuesday's discussions come amid a deadlock in efforts to resolve the conflict, as Washington intensifies pressure on Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices surged more than 6% on Wednesday, with Brent crude hitting a one-month high on expectations the blockade could be prolonged. A senior Pentagon official said the war has cost the U.S. military $25 billion so far. Trump said Iran could call if it wanted to talk, writing on social media on Wednesday that Tehran couldn't get its act together. The United States is also urging other nations to join a new international coalition that would enable ships to navigate through the Strait of Hormuz. That's according to an internal State Department cable seen by Reuters. Iran has warned of unprecedented military action if the U.S. blockade continues. An Axios report on Wednesday cited unidentified sources saying that Trump is set to receive a briefing on Thursday from the U.S. Central Command Chief on plans for potential military action against Iran.
The US president, however, sounded optimistic, telling reporters that gas prices would drop like a rock once the war ends. Listen in.
Gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world. And it'll go down. But what won't happen is if Iran had a nuclear weapon and used it, then the whole world is a different place. You're not going to have to pay a little bit more for gasoline. The gasoline, the oil will go down rapidly as soon as the war is over.
Meanwhile, International Energy Agency head Fatih Birol says the world is facing its biggest energy crisis yet due to disruptions linked to the Iran conflict. Speaking at a conference in Paris, Birol noted that both oil and gas markets are under severe strain, with crude prices crossing $120 a barrel, adding massive pressure on economies worldwide. He warned that the situation is not just an energy issue, but a broader economic challenge that could weigh heavily on global growth if the crisis deepens.
Almost 1.5 months ago, we stated as IEA that the world is facing the biggest energy crisis in the history. And what is happening now shows that unfortunately, we were right. The oil markets, gas markets are going through big difficulties. oil prices now, when I look last time, over $120, which is putting a lot of pressure on many countries. In addition to oil and gas, fertilizers, which is very important for developing countries, petrochemicals, sulfur, they are all interrupted. So our world is facing a major energy and economic challenge. And as International Energy Agency, an organization that puts the energy security as a key topic, we are following the monitoring the situation on a daily basis.